I think in my personal life, because I'm retired and I have a lot of flexibility, I haven't felt stress in that sense. But I think what I find stressful is listening to the news. Because the pandemic, every time it seems to be waning, takes a sharp turn and gets worse. But I think it's that, but it's everything else that's going on. The dissension over COVID is, for me, hard to fathom, but I just find it stressful to watch the news, read the news. I don't watch the news as much as I used to because it just seems to be one worse story with climate issues and torrential rains and floods and fires and all this sort of thing. So I found it stressful, but not just because of COVID. That's one element of the stress of life today.
I wouldn't say, I mean, I'm at the age now where I don't have little kids to take care of or other worries other than myself. So really, I recognize the challenges more challenges other people had than I did. And, you know, not stressing, just going out for a walk or just being outside or picking up a phone call, all good. And a good book.
It's tough. My wife is in healthcare, so she's worked the entire time along, and I have too. And it's like, people say how they get to work from home and how things have been much different for them. Like, it really hasn't been. I've worked more than I normally would work. I'm like, that's not great. And my wife says the same, you know, like, we need to be able to sneak away for a month or two, but I'm like, that just doesn't really happen. I'm like, we don't have the time to do that. But I think you do get used to a different routine without going out per se. More of like, her and I would just go for a walk early in the morning or like in the evening. Those kind of things that I don't know, you appreciate that stuff more because you're not as busy trying to go out or other places.
I don't know that I ever do unplug. I don't think I do. After working, for instance, the presidential election, there was like 3 weeks of early voting, vote by mail, and then we had the election. And by the end of that month, I was wiped. I was done. I actually went out and had knee surgery, so that's how I relaxed.
It's just that really the most stress I've been feeling is that they somewhat release the mask mandate a little bit, then this Delta variant comes, and I'm like, come on! Because we're just starting to open back up and I was just starting to get back to doing some things, and then everything shut down again. I'm bored of this house. I'm bored of staying inside all the time. I'm bored of going to the same old places, playing the same old video games. It's just been really meh.
There was a lot of anxiety in the beginning. I was really, really afraid of that, and I could feel myself like getting anxious a lot, and I'm not an anxious person normally. So it was really scary. At first I was running around with the Lysol wipes and stuff and making sure I wiped down the doors, and it was really hard to do that. So what I had to do, honestly, was binge watch mindless, humorous TV programs or things on Netflix or whatever, just to detach from the constant fear of, should we go out, shouldn't we go out, we have to go to the store, do I take my son with me, everyone else is going out and just coming in the house, what do we do? And so you have to, at some point, you're gonna make yourself go crazy, or you're going to take a deep breath and say, oh, some of this is out of my hands, I will deal with what happens when it happens. I can't prevent everything. And it's just a mantra you have to keep telling yourself, otherwise you will lose your mind.
I presume I'm doing as well as the rest of us. And more specifically, I will say that I'm generally disappointed with some folks that have not either chose to mask or have gotten vaccinated, and I presume in some cases both. And the consequences of both those omissions have had consequences for all of the rest of us. Witness that here we are 18, 19 months into this pandemic, and we're seeing a resurgence in the number of COVID patients. At least one variation now, variant rather, the Delta. And I was more hopeful that we'd be in a better place at this time than we are.